Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Rad Rides. This is Hassan Shirazi. I am sat inside of a 2006 Mercedes Benz SLK55 AMG. This is another car of significance that I wanted to cover. And if you're new to this channel, I have covered several other Mercedes Benz AMGs, including my own 97 C36 AMG, two E55 AMGs, 210 chassis and 211 chassis, and an S63 AMG. You can check out a couple of links on those to see the review on those. This Mercedes Benz SLK55 AMG is so significant because this car came out in an era that a lot of German manufacturers that were stuffing big V8s or big V10s in their cars, but the car it's not even bigger than a Mazda Miata by a few inches. So this is just a significant feat, A, by AMG and Mercedes to do that, and B, it just doesn't make any sense. I hope you like this episode of Rad Rides, where we're going to be covering this SLK55 AMG. We're going to give you a full review from exterior, interior, engine, wheels and brakes, like we normally do on every car that we cover. And at the end, we're going to give you some pros and cons after we do the driving on this car. Thank you so much. Enjoy the show. All right, guys, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this 2006 Mercedes-Benz SLK55 AMG in iridium silver. This car replaces the R170 Mercedes-Benz SLK. That body style came in 1998 and was very revolutionary because for the first time in Mercedes-Benz history, it featured the hardtop retractable. Imagine having a hardtop retractable on a small car like this. Now, what Mercedes did in 2005 with the introduction of the R171, that's Mercedes-Benz code for this chassis, is they stuffed a V8 as the top option of this car. This is an AMG. This is a SLK55 AMG. Mercedes had a very popular engine that had been using in many of their cars, and then they stuffed that big V8 into this car. This car is barely bigger than Mazda Miata, and Mercedes just went bananas and put that big engine in it. That is an astonishing feat, putting a big V8 into this car. The competitors of this car were Porsche Boxster and BMW Z4. Yes, I know everybody says that the BMW Z4 and the Porsche Boxster are much better handling convertibles than this car, but they don't have the V8. This car has the V8. This is definitely has the pedigree and ingredients to be a future classic car because of how small it is, yet it has a big, naturally aspirated V8. All right, guys, let's talk about the engine of this car. What's so astonishing that Mercedes and AMG engineers fitted a V8 in this small car. This car is barely bigger than a Mazda Miata, but a Mazda Miata has a 4-cylinder. This thing has a V8. This is a one-man, one-engine car. This SLK55 AMG uses the same venerable and reliable M113 engine that has been used in many cars, S55, CL55, C55, and even the E55 AMG that we recently did a review on. In this car, it puts out 355 horsepower and 376 pound-feet of torque. The car weighs 3,400 pounds. But mainly because of that heavy hardtop retractable. If you didn't have that hardtop retractable, it would be about 3,200 pounds. It also has a 7G Tronic 7-speed transmission. It's a first time that Mercedes is using this transmission in this car, and it basically has a torque converter, traditional torque converter, and some people call it that it's a kind of learning transmission. All right, guys, let's move on and talk about the wheels and brakes on this car. The wheels are 18-inch multi-spoke AMG wheels. They are wrapped in Michelin Pilot Sport 225 40s in the front. In the rears, there are 255 35s. Now, the brake system on this car is a collaboration between Brembo and AMG, and it's absolutely astonishing. These are 6 piston calipers in the front and 4 piston calipers in the rear. And the actual rotor size it's a 2-piece 13.4-inch rotors in the front and 13-inch rotors in the rear. Mercedes wanted to make sure that when you're driving this car very fast, and it is kind of like a German missile. You're able to stop safely and securely, and that's why they put these big brake calipers in this car. All right, guys, let's talk a little bit about the styling of this car. Obviously, the headlights of this era, they were xenons. You also have your fog lights. You got the side air dams to suck in air to cool down your brakes. Coming down here, you have a nice opening to cool down this big V8, this naturally aspirated V8. Then one thing that you notice is this big Mercedes Benz star. And another thing that you see on the hood, you got these hood vents. And I like how it comes down and it kind of closes in. This was inspired by Mercedes Benz SLR McLaren. That was the car that Mercedes and McLaren jointly built. And this is the only Mercedes that has the hood and the vents that you see that is similar to Mercedes Benz SLR McLaren. Coming up to the sides again. Moving on, these side bumper vents that you see are very unique to this car. You don't see it on the regular SLKs. You only see it on the SLK55 AMG. And you don't see it on any other car except SL65 AMG has similar ones to this. Moving on the back, I love how Mercedes put a nice flare on the front fenders. You can also see it on the back quarter panels. Then we have the indicator light integrated inside of the side view mirrors. This is obviously a hardtop retractable. And you can definitely see the little slope of that quarter panel. For aerodynamic reasons, Mercedes put this little lip over here so the air will flow easier. All right, coming to the back end of the car, you see these really nice and sleek taillights. They are smoked. Mercedes of this era, they were very subtle. And this is the only place that you see that says SLK55, and it is an AMG, not a regular SLK. Then one of the most distinguished features of the car on the back is the quad AMG exhaust tips that you see here. And they absolutely sound amazing. Take a listen. As far as the trunk space of this car, it actually is decent when the top is up. So when the top comes down, this is how much space you get. That's all you get down here. But Mercedes wanted to put this feature that you can actually use the trunk of this car and put some stuff in it, but the top has to be up. If you want to update the car's navigation system, this is where you come. You put the CD or DVD in here. I don't know why they didn't put it inside of the car when it's accessible. They had to put it in the back of the car. The interior of the car is black, mainly black Napa leather. You see some silver, which matches the outer paint of the car. Everything is basic, as you see. This has got the mid-2000s navigation screen with lots of buttons, and navigation does work. One thing to mention about the car, it has the this feature called air scarf, both for driver and passenger. where if you have the top down, it blows hot air behind your neck and it keeps you nice and warm while the convertible top is down. You can see also it has three settings. The feature also works when the top is up too, so it doesn't have to be top down. We have heated seats, drivers, passenger. We also have automatic climate control. It's actually dual zone for driver and passenger. You can change the settings for both driver and passenger. Another thing about this car, it has these side vents right by the central vents that they don't do anything. When you have the heat or air on, neither air or heat comes through them. You cannot adjust them. You can adjust these guys, but you cannot adjust these. These cup holders, they're probably placed in the worst place. Think about it. You put some drinks in here. If you hit the brakes or accelerate too fast, all that water or coffee or whatnot is going to get on your navigation, your electronics. Imagine what kind of headache that would be. So Mercedes gets a definite F on this, the placement of cup holders. Definitely wish Mercedes had stick shift on this car, but this 7 G-tronic 7-speed automatic transmission is the only option that you have. You got your gear selector, different shifts. You can also put it in manual mode. A convertible top. It's pretty interesting that this knob is the same size as the same knob that controls your mirrors, side view mirrors. And you notice that there is blank buttons. There's a blank button here that doesn't do anything. There's also two blank buttons that doesn't do anything. This puts the car in the tow mode. You have a glove box over here if you want to put some stuff here, and a little storage area right here. This car came with Harman Kardon stereo system. The car has some of the smallest sun visors in the automotive industry. I wonder how good of a job they do in blocking the sun off. The roll bars that you see on this car, they have this fake plastic stitching on the side of them. I don't know why Mercedes did this, to put fake stitching on these plastic roll. Really like the fact that the speedometer goes all the way to 200 miles an hour. You also have a little clock down here. Then you have your fuel, and definitely it says AMG V8, so you know it's AMG. There's another AMG touches in this car. The seats are two-tone on the top. It's kind of like a suede material with black Napa leather. It's a nice touch, and obviously this is the air scarf that we talked about. Driving the SLK55 AMG is very, very fun. All I have to do is just give it a little bit of gas and it just goes. The ride quality of this car is kind of harsh, as you would expect on any car that has a lot of power and this low to the ground. This has a sport suspension, and I actually have it on the sport mode as well, but yet it's really fun to drive. I mean, if you want a very, very luxurious and comfortable car that has a lot of power and it's a hardtop retractable, get a one from Mercedes Benz, you should consider getting an SL55 AMG. This car, compared to its competitors, which are BMW Z4 and also Porsche Boxster, it doesn't have the handling perspective of those cars. Yes, I get that. It doesn't have the 6-speed manual transmission, and I wish Mercedes had that in their car. But this 7G-tronic 7-speed automatic transmission is pretty good. It's pretty responsive. It's a reliable transmission, so it's okay. But on the straight run, this car can just go and go and go. So yes, would I prefer to have a 6-speed manual transmission? Of course I would, because that's a real enthusiast car. You get to feel the between the clutch and your gas. It's just, you know, it's a totally different feeling. You're in control of your car. But I really like this car as well. guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of Rad Rides, where we had absolute fun driving this 2006 Mercedes Benz SLK55 AMG, a car that technically they shouldn't have ever made it, but this car was made for a different era. This is 100% going to be a future classic car. I guarantee you the prices of these cars are going to climb significantly in the next few years, because the cars nowadays are all becoming electrified or fully electric, and you don't see a big naturally aspirated V8 in a small car that is the size of a Miata. Until next time, see you later, guys.